Hey, what's up everyone? This is AmKay at Purple Sky 11. It was recently brought to my attention that Dr. Astin, the doctor who prescribed Chris and Nancy Benoit the prescription medications that were found in the home by police, has recently passed away. So here we are at Fightful.com. Dr. Phil Carroll Astin, doctor of Chris Benoit, passes away at age 67. And this article is from June 26th, 2022. And it says, Dr. Phil Astin passed away at the age of 67. Born in Carroll County, Georgia on September 27, 1954, Astin is best known to those in the wrestling community as the personal physician of Chris Benoit. After the tragic incident that left Benoit, his wife, and his young son deceased in June of 2007, Astin was sentenced to 10 years in prison for illegally distributing prescription drugs to patients. He was sentenced in May 2009 after pleading guilty earlier that year to 175 counts. That includes illegally distributing prescription drugs. Fightful has learned that Dr. Astin passed away from a heart attack on Friday, June 24th. And when I read that, I got the weirdest feeling in my gut. This doctor passed away on the 15-year anniversary of the day that police have determined that Benoit committed slip and slide. Friday, June 24th. How crazy is that? Now, on my channel, I've been working on a series of videos where I'm digging into the police files about the investigation into the Benoit crime. And there'll be a link in the description box below to a complete playlist of all my Benoit videos, but specifically part 5B is about Dr. Astin and the things that happened with him with this investigation into this crime. So I encourage you to check that out when you have time so that you can see how Dr. Astin was involved in the Benoit story. And you can also see that steroids had nothing to do with it. It's all laid out for you in my series. You can check it out. It's in the description box below. But let's go now to Twitter and take a look at this tweet and some of these replies and see what other people are saying about this. Okay, so here we are on Twitter. This is Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com at Sean Ross Sapp. And on June 25th of this year, which was the 15-year anniversary of the welfare check on the home when this crime scene was discovered, this says Dr. Phil Astin, who was Chris Benoit's personal doctor, died of a heart attack recently, Fightful has learned. The family of Nancy Benoit filed a wrongful death suit against him. Astin was later convicted of illegally distributing prescription drugs to some of his patients. So let's see what people are saying about this. Can't say that I'm sad about his passing. Someone else says, always nice to get some good news, which gets a response of, how is that good news? Benoit has been gone 14 years. Doc lived on 14 years since then. How that make difference in your life? I'm curious. To which people are pointing out that it's been 15 years. Let's see. Astin passing on the anniversary of Chris Benoit's death is an odd coincidence. Sure is. And Sarah says, now it just got creepy. And what goes around comes around. And then here they're talking about AEW, Kenny Omega. The exact same days, 15 years later. Damn, wow, that's crazy that he died on the anniversary. And yeah, that was pretty much me right there. My mind was blown. Karma has a way of returning the favor. On Chris' death, he died yesterday. Here, World Series Survivor says, I know the Astins. They're nice people who've made mistakes. Just reminding some folks, not you, that Dr. Astin was loved by many. And I'm sure that's true. And my heart goes out to his family. I'm sure that they loved him. I'm certainly not celebrating. I just think that coincidence about the date is so incredible. Arg says, I'm sorry, but regardless of how nice he may have been, it doesn't excuse if he was willingly prescribing steroids that may have and probably did contribute to this tragedy. I've never placed blame 100% on anyone, but there is blame to share, and he is a part of it. And arg, I just want you to know, man, you're mistaken. It wasn't steroids that he prescribed. It was opioid pain medication and Xanax and Soma. And if you don't believe me, you can check out my Benoit videos. I go through every page of the police reports. Sean Belcher says, steroids or not, people are responsible for their actions. He says he was wrong for giving the drugs, but the murder has nothing to do with him. It's just so frustrating that all these people just believe that steroids played a big part in this when it did not. It didn't. So you have to go back and watch, especially the one, part 5B, I think, that's specifically about Dr. Astin. So then Franklin Branson says he literally was overprescribing the family drugs on the daily, especially antidepressants, which were found in all 3 of their bodies. And that's false. No antidepressants, although I guess they probably weren't tested for antidepressants since that, well, I'm not sure, actually, honestly, now that I think about it. But there's no indication on the documents that I have that proves any antidepressants. It was opioid, pain medicine, and Xanax. And Nancy had alcohol in her system. And that's it. What I can say about antidepressants is that when the police searched the home after they got the search warrant and they found all of these prescription medication bottles, the only antidepressant out of all of them was the sertraline prescribed to Chris Benoit, and it was an older prescription. It was from 2006, I believe. And you can see all of that in part 5 of my series, the one about the search warrant. And then here it says Nancy literally went to like 3 different pharmacies to get the same drug. It was that bad. And that is true. She did. And the reply to that comment says, you're right, that happened. Taking a lot of drugs doesn't excuse your actions. Prescribing drugs to someone doesn't make you responsible for their actions. Well, I don't know. It says if I sell you alcohol and you kill, then in an alcoholic rage, it's on you and only you. Okay, so I understand the point this guy's trying to make, but I have a problem with this analogy here. Because what we're talking about here is this doctor illegally prescribing prescription medications to both Chris and Nancy Benoit. Illegally, that's the key word. Because if you sell alcohol to an adult, that's not illegal. That's not the same thing as illegally prescribing drugs. The reason the doctor was found guilty for illegally prescribing them is because he was giving them a ridiculous amount of pills, and Nancy was getting her prescription filled every 10 days. And that's why Nancy was going to different pharmacies to get this filled, because she knew it would be an issue if she kept going to the same pharmacy every 10 days and getting 120 Lorcet tabs, which should not have happened. And then it also was a higher dosage than what both Chris and Nancy actually should have been prescribed. That's what made it illegal. It should have never happened in the first place. That's a lot different than selling an adult alcohol, because an adult can get his own alcohol legally without needing a third party to get it for him, right? That's different. And if you sell alcohol to a minor, which would be illegal, and then the minor would go into an alcoholic rage, it would be on you, dude. It would be on you for selling him the alcohol. So you see, people sometimes, they get caught up in emotions, and the emotions distract them from the logic. I'm guilty of that too. I'm not saying I'm perfect. But then this conversation continues with another reply that says, if you are overprescribing a patient drugs, especially someone like Chris and Nancy, who both had a problem with painkillers, then it's absolutely on the doctor. He even took full responsibility for what happened because he knew what he did was wrong. And that's 100% correct. You can see that in my video about Dr. Astin. He pled guilty and he apologized for his mistakes. So Sean Belcher says not true at all. At best, he enabled them, but drug use, alcohol use, etc. do not mean that you are not responsible for your own actions. No one can force you to murder your family and then yourself. Drugs do not force that to happen. It had to come from Chris and Chris alone. And Franklin replies, that is absolutely true. I've read the police report. A lot of problems in that house stemmed from prescription drug abuse. That's why Nancy's family took the doctor to court for his actions and won against him. Doctor did 9 years because of it, so it's absolutely true. And then the reply to that is, the not true part is it being the doctor's fault. It's not the drug dealer's fault. Someone goes on a billing spree. What the doctor did was illegal. Giving people stuff they don't need doesn't mean you're the reason they're a murderer. Why, I don't know about that, because going back to my point about it being illegal, if something's done illegally, like if a drug dealer sells drugs illegally, then technically that person who bought them wasn't supposed to have that drug in the first place. They shouldn't have had it. So technically, anything that happens as a result of that individual using that drug, that absolutely 100% comes back to being the fault of the one who illegally gave that drug or prescribed that drug. There is accountability. And maybe drug dealers should be held accountable for events that occur as a result of the use of the drug that they are illegally selling or prescribing. Because if it's illegal, they shouldn't have had it in the first place. Do you see what I'm saying? Logic. And don't freak out. I don't mean marijuana, weed, hash, whatever. I don't mean that. I mean like the fentanyl, the opioids, the drugs that are actually killing people. I don't know. I guess I see it kind of like car insurance maybe as a way to explain what I'm thinking. You're not supposed to be driving unless you have car insurance. And if you do drive without insurance and you cause an accident, the accident is automatically your fault, because you weren't supposed to be driving without the insurance. So technically, you shouldn't have been there in the first place to cause the accident, because you shouldn't have been driving. You were driving illegally. So it's your fault. I don't know. What do you think? Comment below. But getting back to this thread, Arg wants to know, did anything come from the wrongful death lawsuit? And I don't see anybody replying to that. But this, I think, is a reply to just the fact that he died on the anniversary. Benoit is innocent. Nah, he isn't. I don't know. So people just are shocked that it happened on the 15th anniversary. And I agree, man. Like that blew my mind. People are talking about karma. They're talking about Michael Jackson. Let's see what's in the shadow band here. Slime ball, and that's it. So there you have it. I just thought that was interesting. That kind of floored me pretty much. It's almost like, I mean, how many times do these kind of things have to happen before we ask ourselves, is it really a coincidence? Maybe there's a pattern to things. Maybe there's a natural flow or an order of things that we don't understand. I don't know, man. You could, I don't know. That's a whole nother video. What do you think about this? Are you as mind blown about this as I am? Make sure you comment below. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. This has been AmKay at Purple Sky 11. I hope you have a great day. Bye.